Welcome to the Widows Collective, where grief meets hope, healing, and community. I'm Lauren Lentz, grief coach, fellow widow, and the heart behind this space. There is life before loss, and then there is life after. If you're here, it likely means your life has been turned upside down by the death of your person. Maybe you've just found yourself in this new world that feels unrecognizable, or maybe you've been walking it for a while, trying to figure out what healing looks like now. I want you to know you are not alone. This podcast is a gathering place for widows living in the after. Together, we'll name the ache, honor the love, and share tools, truths, and stories that help you feel supported along the way. My hope is that every episode gives you a sense of community, comfort, and permission to meet yourself exactly where you are. Hello, and welcome back to episode 4. 'Tis the season to be thankful when you're not feeling very thankful at all. This episode had me diving into the archives and really thinking about what the holidays meant to me as a child. And for me, growing up, this time of the year, fall and winter, it wasn't anything short of magic. And I don't know that there's one specific thing that I can really pinpoint that made it so wonderful and warm and welcoming, but it was just like this knowing that here in Southern California, the temperatures don't shift very much, but you knew you were getting into this season where it was going to be cooler. And there was this warmth of the neighborhood when you would walk outside of your house and all the homes around you were now lit up. We had an annual trip to Julian every single year to celebrate my parents' birthdays with pumpkin pie. Our families and friends just always had a way of coming together and gathering during the season, watching seasonal movies like Hocus Pocus and Christmas Vacation. There was so much laughter and there was so much love in the holiday season for me growing up. Back then, I couldn't imagine a world where fall and winter felt anything but joyful. And I share this because, one, I know that's not everyone's experience of the holiday season. And two, because both myself and Kevin, being raised very similarly, moved into our adulthood assuming that the holiday season was really magical for everyone else. I remember one holiday in particular before Kevin passed away. He came home from Christmas shopping and he was super disgruntled. I asked him what was going on and he was like, "Oh my gosh, the lines are just so full of sad, grumpy people and they're miserable." And so we kind of laughed about it and joked and said, we would never be like them when we get older. But after he died, that memory resurfaced for me again. And suddenly I saw those air quotes, sad, grumpy people differently. I thought to myself, what if they aren't grumpy at all? What if they were grieving? What if they were missing someone as deeply as I now missed Kevin? What if they were doing their best to make it through a season that felt like it belonged to a life that they no longer had? For me, the holidays that felt enchanted and effortless as a child had become a reminder of everything that was missing. And so I had this deep empathy for those people in line that Kevin had once spoken about. I was now missing Kevin's laughter throughout the house, his infamous fried turkey, the stocking that was staying folded up inside of storage. All of a sudden, all of these traditions that I loved so deeply, they hurt. And here's what I know now. Grief has a way of showing you the stories behind other people's eyes. Grief shows up in line at Christmas and people seemingly being miserable when really I think they're longing for what once was. I started to understand that the holidays aren't universally merry and bright. They're tender, they're complicated, and for many of us, they're a time when the pressure to feel grateful or joyful collides with the simple truth that our hearts are still learning to live in the after. So if you're listening today and the thought of celebrating feels hollow or even impossible, if you're wondering how you're supposed to be thankful when the person you're most thankful for isn't here, know that I see you. We as a community see you. You are grieving, and whether we like it or not, grief doesn't take time off because a date on the calendar says that it should. Today, we're going to talk about the tension between societal expectations of gratitude and personal grief, how it can feel hard to be thankful when it feels forced, and compassion for yourself when the holidays feel heavy. We're making space for the truth that although grief and gratitude can coexist, some days grief takes up a lot more room. Some days gratitude may feel completely lost on you. I felt that acutely the first Thanksgiving without Kevin. I was habitually scrolling through social media. I saw friends expressing gratitude for their loved ones, and on vacations, they were holding them close and celebrating their family's health and happiness and safety. And it just came at me like a gut punch. I remember I had anger that their world hadn't stopped like mine had. Sadness that my family photos would never look like this again. And guilt for resenting their gratitude when mine had been seemingly stripped away overnight. Looking back now, I can see that they weren't doing anything wrong. It was simply that loss had activated something so tender within me. And I wasn't in a headspace where I could look at anyone else's joy without feeling the sharp contrast of my pain. That's when it truly hit me. The holidays don't just bring us joy. They also bring alongside expectations. The holiday cards arriving in the mail, the hum of the seasonal movies in the background that I spoke to earlier in this episode, everyone sharing all their family plans. But woven beneath it all is this quiet pressure to be thankful. But what happens when gratitude feels impossible? When the season feels empty, quiet, and painful? When even noticing twinkling lights or hearing that first Christmas song feels like entering a place where your heart just isn't ready for? If any of this resonates with you today, I want you to remember this. There is nothing wrong with you. There is no failing at how to show up during the holidays. You don't need to worry about letting anyone down. This season really can be so beautiful and brutal, tender and triggering, full and empty all at once. And if gratitude just feels out of reach, that's okay. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply breathe through the day you're in. One thing I've learned amongst the many things, and maybe you felt this too, is that grief has a way of really narrowing our focus to what's missing. And when the world is shouting gratitude and celebration, that absence can feel that much louder. Author and grief advocate Gary Rowe writes in his book, Surviving the Holidays Without You, grief doesn't delete gratitude. It just makes room for its own voice to be heard. That line stood out to me because it honors both truths. Grief doesn't need to be resolved before you can feel gratitude. And there's no rule that says you have to be thankful right now. If you need to pause and rewind and listen to that a couple more times, I encourage you to do so. You don't have to be thankful right now. If all you can do today is get out of bed, notice your breath, your heartbeat, or the gentle rhythm of life around you, that's enough. If gratitude feels like it belongs to someone else's life, your feelings are valid, and you are still deserving of care and rest and tenderness. I know that this season looks different for you than it used to. It might be quieter, smaller. It may feel a lot colder. The feelings that arise with this ache are valid, and it's an honoring of where you're at inside of your experience of widowhood. There is no rushing this timeline. There is no timeline. It's about really embracing where you're at in this moment. Compassion, especially compassion for yourself, is the invitation here. Not to pretend, not to perform thankfulness, but to allow what's true for you. So maybe this year, the practice isn't about finding gratitude. Maybe it's simply about making space for yourself exactly as you are, because your heart is carrying something real, something very heavy, and that deserves your loving care. By now, you might be noticing all the varying ways this season can show up for people. The expectations, the memories, the quiet ache of absence. And if you're like I was in that first year, hearing things like it gets easier or you can still find gratitude might not land. Those words would not have sat well with me the first year that Kevin died. Because at that point, expressing gratitude out loud, even quietly to myself, didn't feel authentic. I could feel that I was still fortunate to have my son, my family, and my friends, but letting myself say it and genuinely feel it didn't feel possible. I needed to allow it to unfold on my terms. This is where we give ourselves permission to just be. You don't have to force the gratitude. You don't have to pretend to feel festive if it doesn't feel real. You might just want to wrap up in a weighted blanket, get into a warm Epsom salt bath, and simply be. Those small, grounded moments don't have to compete with your grief. They don't have to feel like that societal gratitude. They're their own kind of presence, and they are gentle and personal and real. Some days are going to feel flat. Some days joy might be fleeting. That's okay. Your experience is yours, and that is enough. And I think truly you'd be shocked by, if you just allow yourself to be, how many people will actually accept that, knowing where you're at inside of your grief. Over time, I've also learned that tiny sparks of light, a song I love, a quiet walk, the smell of one of my favorite meals or one of Kevin's favorite meals can feel like a form of gratitude. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be performative, but it can be a way to honor right where you are right now. And if that word gratitude just doesn't land at all, you can use another word that feels right for you. And the important part is, even if a flicker of gratitude appears, I want you to know it doesn't erase your grief. Grief and gratitude can coexist. They can live side by side. You are allowed to hold both. They don't cancel each other out. They simply reflect the complexity of being human, especially during the holidays. I want to take a moment to kind of stop wherever you are right now, whether you're sitting or walking, and you can even do this if you're driving. I wouldn't encourage you to stop, but you can do this while you're driving. Take a moment to notice the movement in and around you. If you're walking, feel each step as your foot meets the ground, the shift of your weight, the rhythm of your body. Notice how your legs carry you, how your arms naturally sway, how your breathing adjusts to the pace of your steps. If you're sitting, feel the support of the chair beneath you, the contact of your body with the floor, the steady rise and fall of your chest. Allow yourself to feel grounded, connected to the earth, anchored back to this present moment. If you're driving, notice the steering wheel in your hands, the subtle vibrations of the car beneath you, the sensation of the brake and gas pedals. Feel your shoulders relax, your hands soften, your breath moving steadily in and out. Even here, even amidst motion and responsibility and movement, you can come back to a sense of presence. You don't need to chase gratitude or push away grief. You don't need to fix anything about how you feel. Simply notice. Notice your thoughts, your emotions, the sensations of being alive in this moment. The world moving around you, the sounds of the street, the hum of conversation, the shifting light, the rustling of leaves. And notice your presence within it. Allow yourself to silently acknowledge whatever shows up for you, whatever is coming up inside. Grief, heaviness, tension, or even moments of calm. You might say to yourself, I am here. I am breathing. I am moving through this moment. Let yourself exist fully without judgment, without expectation. And acknowledge that your thoughts are just messengers. They're not here to hold on to. They're here to allow to move through us, to show that you really care about something. And if your mind wanders, as it naturally will, gently bring it back to the sensations around you, the weight of your body, the contact of your feet with the ground, the sound of your own breath. Notice how these simple physical anchors can remind you of your aliveness, your resilience, and your capacity to be present. Even if it's just for a few breaths or a few steps, this act of noticing, this simple awareness, is a gift to yourself. You are holding space for yourself exactly as you are, honoring both grief and the quiet moments of presence. Carrying this gentle awareness with you as you move through your day, let it remind you that even in the midst of grief, you are still here. You are still breathing. You are still capable of noticing, feeling, and experiencing life, even in the smallest, quietest ways. As we close today's episode, I want you to know the holidays don't have to look or feel a certain way. Grief doesn't follow a schedule. Grief doesn't put any extra pressure on you. It just asks you to be. Simply allowing yourself to feel, to notice, and to exist in this season is plenty. Compassion for yourself is the gift you can offer to you right now. And if you're listening today and asking yourself, will I ever feel thankful again? The answer is yes. In your own time, in your own way. I promise you there is more to life than just this moment. But gratitude doesn't rush you. It shows up when you're ready, and it will always be waiting for you. Next episode, we'll explore what I've come to call the grief hangover. Those days after a milestone when the weight of grief just seems to hit harder than the day itself. I'll be joined by Julia Warren, fellow widow, grief coach, and yoga therapist, as we talk about how to navigate these emotional aftershocks and care for yourself through them. Thank you for showing up for yourself, for your grief, and for honoring this season in your own way. Big hugs and lots of love. You've been listening to The Widows Collective. I'm Lauren Lentz, and it means so much to me that you spent this time here today. If you found comfort or connection in today's episode, I invite you to please subscribe, leave a rating, or share it with someone who might need a little support. You can also follow me on Instagram at I'm Sorry We're Friends and join my email list at laurenlentz.com to explore my one-to-one grief coaching, group program, retreats, and other tools designed to help widows navigate loss with understanding and guidance. I hope you'll join me next week for another conversation where we'll continue exploring grief, healing, and ways to reimagine life after loss. I'm sorry you're here, and I'm so grateful that you are. Thank you for being a part of this community. Your presence is an act of courage and self-compassion, and I'm honored to walk this path alongside you.